What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the latest trade rumors and how a potential move could completely change the course of the Cowboys season. Before we get into the details, you know the drill. Hit that like button and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our future updates. We're always working hard to keep you informed and entertained, and your support means everything. Now let's talk Cowboys. As we sit at 3-3, we all know something needs to change. We've seen struggles on both sides of the ball, especially with running the ball and stopping the run. The NFL trade deadline is right around the corner, and Dallas has some big decisions to make. Could a trade be the answer to our problems? Let's break it all down. Let's not sugarcoat it. The Cowboys have two major problems this season. We can't run the ball effectively, and we're struggling to stop the run on defense. These are fundamental issues, and they're holding us back from reaching our full potential. On offense, we're seeing inconsistency from our running game. Sure, Rico Dowdle has stepped up in recent weeks, but can we really rely on him to stay healthy for the rest of the season? Ezekiel Elliott, unfortunately, isn't producing at the level we need. Against the Detroit Lions, Zeke averaged just 2.1 yards per carry. That's simply not enough to get the job done. On the other side, our run defense has been shaky at best. Despite Motzi Smith showing promise, the defensive line has been overwhelmed by physical offensive lines. We're giving up too many yards on the ground, and that's putting pressure on the rest of our defense. So, where does that leave us? If the Cowboys want to turn this season around, it's time to look outside the organization for help. Let's explore some potential trade moves that could address our biggest weaknesses. 1. Cowboys need a new running back. If there's one area that desperately needs a boost, it's our running game. As much as we love Zeke, his production just isn't there this season. And with Dowdle's health always a question mark, bringing in a new running back could be the solution. A player like Dalvin Cook, for example, could instantly revitalize our ground game. Cook has been linked to Dallas in the past, and it might finally be time for Jerry Jones to pull the trigger. If the Cowboys want to be contenders, they need a dynamic running back who can break big plays and keep the offense balanced. But will Jerry make the move? That's the million-dollar question. Historically, the Cowboys have been hesitant to make big in-season trades, but this could be the year they change that philosophy. 2. Strengthening the offensive line. Right tackle help. Let's talk about the offensive line. Terrence Steele has struggled this season, and while rookie Tyler Guyton has shown flashes, he's still getting used to the NFL. Zach Martin has also been dealing with some injuries, making the right side of the line vulnerable. If the Cowboys want to fix the run game, it starts up front. Adding a veteran right tackle with strong run-blocking skills could be a game changer. We all know that for a running back to succeed, the offensive line has to open up those holes. Strengthening the line could elevate not just the running game, but the entire offense. 3. A defensive tackle to stop the run. On the defensive side of the ball, it's no secret we've been getting bullied by opposing offensive lines. While Motzi Smith has shown improvement, he still has a long way to go. Injuries to Jordan Phillips and Linval Joseph have also left us thin at defensive tackle, which is why bringing in a big, aggressive DT could solve a lot of our problems. If the Cowboys want to stop teams from running all over them, they need a dominant force in the middle of the defense. A trade for a proven run-stopping defensive tackle could make all the difference, especially as we head into the tougher part of the schedule. For one more powerful linebacker, let's not forget the linebacker position. While Eric Kendricks has been a beast, constantly making tackles and leading the defense, we could still use another player with his intensity and speed. DeMarvion Overshown has shown promise, but he's still young and learning. Bringing in a veteran linebacker who specializes in stopping the run would not only strengthen the defense, but give Overshown someone to learn from. With so much talent at linebacker already, adding one more playmaker could take this defense to the next level. Who could be on the trading block? Now, what about the other side of the coin? If the Cowboys are going to bring in new talent, they might have to move some pieces around. Here are a few players who could potentially be traded to free up cap space or acquire draft picks. 1. Brandon Cooks. Let's be real. Brandon Cooks hasn't exactly been lighting it up this season. His production has dipped, and at 30 years old, he may not be a part of the Cowboys' long-term plans. Trading Cooks for a late-round draft pick would open up opportunities for younger receivers like Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, and Ryan Flournoy to step up. This move could also give the Cowboys some flexibility in next year's draft, allowing them to continue building for the future while evaluating their young talent now. 2. Luke Schoonmaker. With Jake Ferguson playing well and other tight ends stepping up, Luke Schoonmaker might be expendable. As a second-round pick, Schoonmaker still has value, but it's not necessarily a value the Cowboys need right now. Trading him could bring back draft capital or help fill more immediate needs. 3. Trey Lance. Here's an interesting one, Trey Lance. After the Cowboys extended Dak Prescott's contract, Lance's future with the team became uncertain. With teams like the Miami Dolphins, Las Vegas Raiders, and Tennessee Titans in need of quarterback help, Lance could be an attractive trade chip. Teams struggling at the QB position might view Lance as a low-cost, high-upside option. The Cowboys could use this opportunity to either gain draft picks or address other roster needs. 4. DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence is in the final year of his contract, and with the Cowboys facing salary cap challenges, it's unlikely they'll be able to re-sign him in the offseason. If the Cowboys fall out of playoff contention, Lawrence could be a valuable trade piece for a team looking to bolster their pass rush. The Detroit Lions, especially after Aiden Hutchinson's injury, could be an ideal destination for Lawrence. Adding a veteran like Lawrence could help push a contending team over the top. So, Cowboys Nation, will Jerry Jones and the Cowboys front office finally pull the trigger and make a trade to address these issues? History tells us that the Cowboys aren't big on making mid-season moves, but this season feels different. With the team sitting at 3-3, the window for success is narrowing, and the time for action is now. If the Cowboys can make the right moves, whether it's bringing in a running back, strengthening the offensive line, or adding a defensive tackle, there's still time to turn this season around. But if we stand pat, the challenges we've seen so far will only get tougher as the season progresses. So, if you've been keeping up with the Cowboys this week, you probably heard about Jerry Jones' heated exchange on 105.3 The Fan, the radio station where he regularly appears. During his weekly interview with host Sean Sharif and RJ Choppy, Jones didn't hold back when they questioned him about the Cowboys' lack of moves during the offseason. And, well, let's just say, things got a little tense. Now, for those who missed it, here's a quick recap. During the interview, Sharif and Choppy pressed Jones on why the Cowboys didn't do more to improve the roster before the season started. Seems like a fair question, right? After all, we've seen some struggles, especially after that tough 3-3 start. But Jerry wasn't having it. He essentially threatened to fire the radio host for questioning him on decisions made during the offseason. In typical Jerry Jones fashion, later that day, he doubled down on his comments. When Diana Rossini from The Athletic asked him if he had any regrets about the exchange, Jones made his stance crystal clear. His response? He had no problem with being grilled by fans or media, but he wasn't about to be questioned by radio hosts who work under a Cowboys partnership. Jones told Rossini, "The facts are, if I'm going to be grilled by the tribunal, I don't need it to be by the guys I'm paying. I can take it from fans and take it from other people." That's a pretty strong statement from Jerry, and it raises some interesting questions about how he views criticism, especially when it comes from media figures who have a paid relationship with the team. Now, this brings us to a bigger discussion. Should radio hosts who are paid by the Cowboys hold back when it comes to tough questions? According to Jerry, the hosts should know their place. But here's the thing. Sean and RJ were asking a question that a lot of Cowboys fans have been asking. Why didn't we see more action in the offseason? Let's be honest. The Cowboys have shown flashes of greatness, but with a 3-3 record and plenty of room for improvement, fans have every right to be asking these tough questions. Our running game has struggled. The defense hasn't been as dominant as we'd hoped after losing key players like Dan Quinn. So, why didn't we see more aggressive moves in the offseason to address these areas? Jerry seemed to think that the radio hosts went too far, especially since they're part of a paid partnership with the Cowboys. But does that mean they should avoid asking tough questions altogether? That's a slippery slope, especially when you're dealing with a fan base as passionate as Cowboys Nation. If that wasn't enough drama, Jerry was also recently asked about the job status of head coach Mike McCarthy. And, surprise, surprise, he had a fiery response to that as well. There's been plenty of chatter about McCarthy's future, especially with the team's inconsistent start to the season. But Jerry wasn't about to entertain those rumors. In typical Jerry fashion, he made it clear that he wasn't considering a coaching change at this point. McCarthy has been under pressure to take this team further, especially after back-to-back playoff disappointments. And with the team currently sitting at .500, that pressure isn't going anywhere. But Jerry seems confident that McCarthy is still the man for the job, at least for now. The question is, how long will that patience last if the Cowboys don't start stringing together more wins? Now, here's where things get interesting. Does Jerry have a point? Should radio hosts who are in a paid partnership with the team be as critical as independent media or fans? Or is it their job to ask the tough questions, no matter what? On one hand, you could argue that anyone covering the Cowboys, even if they're part of a partnership, should feel free to ask the hard questions. That's what fans want to hear, after all. They want to know why the team isn't doing more to improve and how the front office plans to fix the issues we're seeing on the field. On the other hand, Jerry sees it as a conflict of interest. If he's paying for a partnership, he expects a certain level of respect from the people working within that relationship. It's a tricky balance, no doubt. But at the end of the day, the Cowboys are underperforming and fans deserve answers. At the heart of this whole situation is accountability. Whether it's Jerry Jones, Mike McCarthy, or even the players, someone has to answer for what happens on the field. Cowboys Nation has been patient, but with the way this season is unfolding, that patience is starting to wear thin. Jerry can avoid those tough questions from his radio hosts, but he can't avoid them from the fans forever. If the Cowboys don't start turning things around, the pressure will continue to mount, and eventually, someone will have to take responsibility for the results. All right, now I want to hear from you. Should the Cowboys make a trade before the deadline? If so, who do you think we should target, and who would you be willing to trade away? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And before you go, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates as we get closer to the trade deadline. We've got a lot of football left to play, and anything can happen. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time with more Cowboys news. Stay strong, Cowboys Nation.